السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue inshallah ta'ala with the tafsir, and we are in Surah Al-Ma'arij, and we'll take inshallah ta'ala verses number 8 all the way to 14 inshallah, from 8 to 14. We'll take from verse number 8 to verse number 14. So we'll start inshallah ta'ala with the recitation. Repeat after me inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يوم تكون السماء كالمهل وتكون الجبال كالعهن ولا يسأل حميم حميما يبصرونهم يود المجرم لو يفتدي من عذاب يومئذ ببنيه وصاحبته وأخيه وفصيلته التي تؤويه ومن في الأرض جميعا ثم ينجيه يوم تكون السماء 4 to 5 counts كالمهل make sure that every letter is said, the ha and then the lam. وتكون الجبال كالعهن عين and ha. The ha is not difficult, but it comes all the way from the bottom. It's like from the bottom of your throat. ولا يسأل حميم حميما, no غنة or anything. يبصرونهم يود المجرم the jim with سكون قلقلة المجرم لو يفتدي من عذاب يومئذ, not يومئذ, يومي, the mim with a كسرة, يومئذ 2 counts because of the meme sound clap, ببنيه وصاحبته وأخيه, make sure the ha is said at the end. وفصيلته, fa is light and صاد is heavy. وفصيلته التي تؤويه ومن في إخفاء ومن في الأرض جميعا إخفاء also. ثم 2 counts ينجي إخفاء also. The translation: on the day the sky will be like murky oil, and the mountains will be like wool, and no friend will ask anything of a friend. They will be shown each other. The criminal will wish that he could be ransomed from the punishment of the day by his children and his wife and his brother and his nearest kindred who shelter him, and whoever is on earth entirely, so then it could save him. This is continuing with what's going to be in the Day of Judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from the punishment in the hereafter. يوم تكون السماء كالمهل, on the day when the sama, when the skies, when the heavens will look like al-muhl, will be like the muhl. And the muhl is, as we heard, the molten oil or the metal when it's melted. This is what al-muhl. It's like the oil, what is left at the end, or something that is melted. This is how it's looked like. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, and it's something that beyond what we saw and what we see on the face of earth. And this is how this mighty creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as-sama, would look like. يوم تكون السماء كالمهل. And this is there's a Surah Al-Rahman says فكانت وردة كالدهان. Right? This is how the skies will be like a flower, red in its color. So يوم تكون السماء كالمهل وتكون الجبال كالعهن. And the mountains will be like al-'ihn. And al-'ihn is the wool that is dyed with many different colors. That is very light, that the wind would blow it in different ways, different places. So the mountains, also this mighty creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is how it looks like. And this is again part of the horrors of the Day of Judgment. That the heart should be attached to this, that makes it really easy and for the believers to have sabr al-jameel. As we heard yesterday, fasbir sabran jamila. Have a beautiful patience in what you face and what you're going through in this life, to focus on the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this is what's coming ahead. So if you want to save yourself from all of these horrors in the Day of Judgment, have a beautiful patience in this life, and not to be deceived and not to overlook the reality of it, so that you waste it in just fulfilling or following your desires. It's such a waste for one's life when we know that this is what's coming ahead. وَلَا يَسْأَلُ حَمِيمٌ حَمِيمًا. And no Hamim will ask his Hamim. And the Hamim is the very close, the very intimate one in one's life. Whether it refers to a relative, whether it's referred to the most beloved one, right? So they won't ask one another. They won't ask one another about how you are. Like for example, when a loved one dies, and you can't wait till you see them. Why people are so having so much grief in this life is because of the fact that they would, you have someone that you love so much, and you're with them every day, and then they depart from this life. If you travel for a few days, you miss them so much. So imagine when it comes to death. So in the Day of Judgment, people might think in this world that the ease of our life in this world, that the Day of Judgment, when a person gets to see his loved ones, those who died before him or he died after them, whatever there is, they'll be like they can't wait till they see one another. But in the Day of Judgment, because of these horrors of the Day of Judgment, they won't ask one another about how are you, or how's it been. Are you okay? Are you among those who are saved? Things like this. They don't ask one another at that stage. It's only after they enter the Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would run away from one another because of the horrors of the Day of Judgment. Where is the like of that in this world? In this world, even when people face all kinds of difficulties, sometimes even death itself, you would find the mother trying to save her child, a person going after his loved ones. In the Day of Judgment, the matter is completely different. وَلَا يَسْأَلُ حَمِيمٌ حَمِيمًا. Not just any person to another person, al-Hamim, the one that is very close to his relative and loved one, and so on. Because everybody is so much concerned about their own selves. يُبَصَّرُونَهُمْ. That means they would get to see each other. They know each other. They know their relatives. They know their loved ones. But they know that they would not benefit one another. يَوَدُّ الْمُجْرِمُ لَوْ يَفْتَدِي مِنْ عَذَابِ يَوْمِئِذٍ بِبَنِيهِ. The mujrim, the criminal one, the disbeliever, he would wish that he would ransom himself from the punishment of the Day of Judgment with one of his sons, the most beloved one. So يُبَصَّرُونَ, when they see each other in the Day of Judgment, right, they don't have anything in their hearts, any space in their hearts. See the word used, they have no space in their hearts to ask about their most beloved one, how they are, how they used to be in this world. They won't even have a space in their heart to ask how are they. And when they see them, al-mujrim, or the disbeliever, would love that he would ransom, لو يفتدي من عذاب يومئذ, that he would ransom himself from the punishment of that day with his own son. وصاحبته وأخيه. These are the closest ones. وصاحبته, his wife, وأخيه, and his brothers. وفصيلته التي تؤويه. وفصيلته, that means the relatives, those who they used to be refuge for one another in this world. They used to protect one another, they used to fight for each other. So al-fasila is not the entire tribe even, it's the part of the tribe that is closest, which is basically al-fasila is from fasala, when something is separated from the body. So is the immediate relatives of the person, those who they used to protect one another and fight for one another. They would wish, the criminal would wish that he would ransom them, ransom himself to save himself in the day of judgment from the fire. وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا ثُمَّ يُنْجِيهِ, and also even more than all of that, and the entire world. And every person on the face of earth, this believer would wish that they can all be in hellfire, and he's ransomed to be among the people of Jannah. كَلَّا إِنَّهَا لَظَىٰ, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, nay, this is not going to be the case in the day of judgment. Is lava, that means it's blazing, and we'll talk about that inshallah ta'ala later. But as you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the verses here is very clear of how things will be in the day of judgment, the horrors of the day of judgment. And as you see, the words are very strong for a person's heart to be affected by what's going to be in the day of judgment. So when we look at the verses again, when we see that يوم تكون السماء كالمهل, المهل is, as we said, what is melted, whether it's a metal, whether it's the zayt or the oil that is left in the bottom. And it's the same three letters are used for when something is, you take your paste and doing it. على مهل, like when you do it with gentleness, right? فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم رويدا, give the disbelievers their time or so. But this is here, of course, in this ayah, refers to يوم تكون السماء كالمهل. It means then the skies would be like this, like the molten oil or metal. وتكون الجبال كالعهن, and as we heard, al-'ihn is the wool, which is the wool that usually have so many different colors to it. And this is also mentioned in Surah Al-Qari'ah, كالعهن المنفوش, and things like this. So this is with regards to the wool. وتكون الجبال كالعهن. ولا يسأل حميم حميمة. The word hamim, as we heard, is the closest one, and really the word hamim or comes from the root of it, which is ha mim mim. It's also refers to, it has the same meaning as something, the boiling water. وَسُقُوا مَاءً حَمِيمًا, that the disbelievers will be given a boiling water in the day of judgment. And whether it's because it tears the skin off, and the hamim is the very close one that is extremely close to the person, like what the hot water does to the skin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But this is the word al-hamim is the closest person, the most beloved person to someone. يبصرونهم from basar, that means they would get to see each other. يودوا, and I said al-wad or al-wud from wawd is not just wishing for something, is when a person loves something and you take the means to it. وَدَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, that the disbelievers would love for you to لو تغفرون أسلحتكم, that you would let go your arms and things like this. Or وَوَدُّوا لَوْ تَكْفُرُونَ, and they would love for you to be disbelievers. It's not that they would love for you to be disbelievers and they don't do anything about it. No, it involves also actions. When you would love to do something and you would take actions to achieve this. So يَوَدُّ الْمُجْرِمُ, that means the mujrim would love to, and he would want to take the means to do so. لَوْ يَفْتَدِي, from fada, ransoming, oneself and the ransom is that when someone would give something in return that he would save himself from trouble. Al-fidya is that you would do to expiate or to relieve oneself, like for matters of ihram, hajj or umrah or so. من عذاب يومئذ, from the punishment of that day, ببني, by his own son. وصاحبته, الصاحبة from companion, and here صاحبته refers to his wife, and it's mentioned صاحبته, not زوجته, because also it gives that meaning of that she was not just any wife. A person might have a wife that she was not really his companion or someone that he loved, but the word صاحبته is more than just the wife, is more than just the wife. It's the closest, the one that is beloved to him. And that also gives a meaning of the wife and how she is to her husband. She is his companion, that she's with him at all times. And that's what the companions are, and the caring that they have towards one another and things like this. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَأَخِي, and his brother. وَفَصِيلَتِهِ, and we said فَصِيلَتِهِ is the special type of the closest part of the tribe, which comes from fasala, when something is separated. And that's basically separated from one's body. That means the closest one to oneself. التي تؤوي from مأوى and awa, which means the refuge there with, and so on. ومن في الأرض جميعا, and everyone on the face of earth. ثم ينجي, then to save him. As long as he's saved, this is what he cares for. And again, because of the horrors of the Day of Judgment. And then kalla, after that it says kalla, this is not going to happen. All of this wishful thinking is not going to happen. The same thing when people have all kinds of wishes in this life is not created for the fulfillment of the desires and the wishful thinking of people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it in such a way. And either people, they realize this and they see this, that they are slaves of Allah, and they need to live their life according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from them, or this is what happens to those who disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow their own desires. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the matter very clear that this is their punishment. And also one of the great benefits is all of these relationships in our life, if it doesn't help us to establish the deen, as you see what's going to happen in the Day of Judgment. No one will care about anyone else. So this son of yours that you care for so much, that would make you disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remember that in the Day of Judgment, that own son of yours would run away from you, and he would not give you any reward. So never sacrifice your deen for someone else. And it's not a sign of a bad or a harsh feelings towards the loved one. This is actually the proper way to love someone in this life, is without compromising one's religion and being firm upon seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make others pleased with you. How many sins are committed on the face of earth because of these relationships that are mentioned in the verse? One's sons and daughters, one's wife, one's brothers, and things like this, whether in doing good things to them or doing bad things to them. And the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a person to observe this. And wafasilati, and his people. People are living with one another, and many of the sins also are committed because of this interaction with others. So the great benefit in learning this and purifying our hearts with this is to be firm upon the deen of Allah. And then when we die alone. We are put in the grave alone, and nobody would even sit in the grave with us from our loved ones. They would leave us after they put us in the ground, and they would continue with their life. So what stays with the person is one's actions. And one's actions, part of that is what we did with these relationships. So to be extremely kind to them for the sake of Allah, but at the same time to be extremely firm upon the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of Allah, seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from anything that is harmful, anything that is haram. We'll stop here inshallah. Try to memorize the ayat inshallah. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.